What are the Lions going to do at right guard? Tommy Kraemer missing practice today, and Jim Nagy from the Senior Bowl, the executive director, is going to join us. It's a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Matt Derry with you, Locked On Lions, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day on a Wednesday, September 7th and a Thursday, September 8th. We got NFL football tomorrow night. Everybody's picking the Buffalo Bills, and they're going to play tomorrow night, and we're excited about Sunday for the Lions and the Philadelphia Eagles tomorrow. Our Locked On crossover Thursday is back. Louis DiBiase, the host of Locked On Eagles, is going to join me, and it's a 3-segment breakdown. It's a little bit different this year, and we're excited about that. We'll talk to Louis about Philly and the tough road ahead for the Lions Sunday, I think, against the Eagles. Coming up today on the show, Jim Nagy from the Reese's Senior Bowl, the executive director. He has seen all these players that the Lions have put on their 53-man roster. What does Jim think of the team? And also, I want to ask him a little bit about some guys for next year, as he's already started scouting some college games. We'll do that coming up. Also, we got to talk about this right guard situation with Halapoulivaati Vaitai out, and now an even bigger wrinkle because Tommy Kraemer has a back injury. We'll get into that coming up on the program as well. We are brought to you by our friends at BriteCo Jewelry and Watch Insurance. BriteCo brings you comprehensive, fast, and affordable jewelry insurance for as low as $5 per month. Check out your special offer for Locked On listeners and get covered in under 2 minutes at brite.co/locked on. That's brite.co/locked on. You can find us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, DERY Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, the Matt Derry Facebook fan page, and for those of you watching on YouTube, yes, the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Please subscribe, comment, and do all of that. We appreciate your listenership and making us your first listen each and every day here on Locked On Lions. All right, so Jim Nagy is going to join us momentarily on the program. Looking forward to talking to Jim for sure. As far as the first injury report, Levi Onwuzurike did not practice today. Tommy Kraemer look, I've given up on Levi Onwuzurike being healthy. It's going to be a while. But Tommy Kraemer, who yesterday I said, I don't want the Lions fiddling with their tackles. All right. You got Brandon Graham this weekend. You got Fletcher Cox. You got all these guys with the Eagles on that D line. Keep consistency as much as you can along that offensive line. Moving Ragnow over to guard, Evan Brown to center, moving Sewell over to guard, which the Lions actually practiced today. Some of practice with Penei Sewell at guard and Matt Nelson at right tackle. I'm not having it. To me, Tommy Kraemer is the next man up and should be the right guard for Sunday and at least the first 4 weeks as Vaitai's out with a back injury. Well, it turns out today, Kraemer is out with a back injury as well, so he did not practice today. So the Lions tried many different combinations when it comes to their offensive line. And Dan Campbell keeps saying this. Don't worry about it. We're ready. We've got depth. It's going to be fine. And I get why Dan Campbell is saying that. He has a lot of faith, certainly in his team. But I don't want to hear about moving guys out of position or moving Sewell over. Logan Stenberg did do some practicing today at right guard. And I would have if Kraemer couldn't play, and again, we'll see tomorrow with the injury report and Friday, but if Tommy Kraemer, if this back injury is something that's serious and to keep him out, I'd play Stenberg at guard. Logan Stenberg had a pretty good preseason. I don't want to fiddle with anything and moving guys out of the tackle position. Penei Sewell should be at right tackle for 17 games, knock on wood if healthy, and Taylor Decker should be at left tackle for 17 games. Those guys are bookends, and they are very, very solid. One other note, Miles Sanders is going to play this Sunday. Remember, last year he did not play, yet it was Boston Scott and others that just pounded the Lions defense. But Miles Sanders is apparently going to play this weekend for the Eagles as he's coming back from a minor injury. Brandon Graham, as I mentioned before, coming back to play his hometown team. That ought to be interesting. He was out for most of last year. Philadelphia is really good. They are. And I understand that there's a big-time optimism. We saw last night the final episode of Hard Knocks. How about 222 Rod Wood Drive? How about Rod Wood breaking down the backup quarterback spot with Brad Holmes, sitting in Brad's office, talking about David Blau? Kind of took a little shot at David Blau. I hope David Blau doesn't think that he's a lock to make the team, Brad. Have you talked to him? Rod Wood talking football. The Twitter reactions were fantastic last night. Oh, my God. I'm trying to be really nice, but isn't it kind of strange that like we barely see Jared Goff on Hard Knocks. We barely see Jeff Okudah on Hard Knocks. We barely see Ben Johnson on Hard Knocks. Chris Spielman was like never on Hard Knocks. But there was Rod Wood last night sitting in Brad Holmes' office talking backup quarterbacks. Oh, my goodness. 222. All right, coming up next, Jim Nagy, longtime NFL scout, executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, knows all these players, and also does some work on the draft for ESPN. We're going to talk to Jim coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. First, though, let's talk about our friends at PrizePicks. Daily fantasy done so well and so much fun. You got to check out the PrizePicks app or prizepicks.com. Tomorrow night, you want to bet on Josh Allen throwing for more than 320 passing yards? Mix that in with some other players. Maybe Stephon Diggs to score more than 0.5 touchdowns. You can do all of that and have so much fun with it, and it's so organized at prizepicks.com. Pick 2 to 5 players, and if they will go to score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. This includes NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, PGA Golf, soccer, WNBA, college football, whatever you like, NASCAR, tennis, the U.S. Open. You could do that at prizepicks.com. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users, you can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. It's that simple. Deposit $50, they'll give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. It is our friends at PrizePicks. All right, folks, we always love catching up with Jim Nagy, executive director of the Senior Bowl. You've seen him on ESPN, longtime NFL scout, Michigander, excited for his Lions coming up this week as we open up the season against the Eagles. And Jim joins me now right here on Locked On Lions. What's up, James?
Oh, Matt, good to be back on, man. Thanks for having me.
Exciting, certainly exciting times here, Hard Knocks, everything that's going on. Can you believe the Detroit Lions are like America's team now?
That's awesome, isn't it? Yeah, that's man, selfishly, I've just been thinking watching this Hard Knocks, man, I wish this would have happened a year ago, because then when Dan Campbell and staff were down here coaching the Senior Bowl, it would have been even a bigger deal. It was, and we certainly saw, everything that's coming out through HBO. We saw that down here with Dan and Deuce and AG, all those guys, Shep, all those guys that have brought the juice all season on Hard Knocks. We got a good taste of that here in Mobile. It's been really cool to watch.
What do you think, though, is realistic for this football team? Vegas and our friends at BetOnline say 6.5 wins. How do you kind of do a giant overview of the Lions in your mind?
Well, the most important thing is they're showing progress, right? And so I think coming out of the gates, you're just going to want to see a more competitive football team. And I think there's a couple of reasons for optimism there. One, the roster looks better. 2, they're in the system for the second year, so there's some continuity there. And 3, the way they ended last season. I think it was pretty well documented and talked about in your market there in Detroit and even nationally. Like, that team kept on playing for Dan Campbell and his staff. So I think there's a lot of reason to have a lot of positive vibes coming out of Detroit right now.
What worries you, and what do you like about this team as you look at the roster getting ready for Philly this week?
Well, I don't like Philly coming in this week. That's a really good.
Yes.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a good football team. But I do like the fact that you're getting some pieces back. You've got some, Awarie, Okuda's coming back off injury, so you've got some young playmakers there. I just think the defensive line, I think the pass rush, which obviously they felt the need to address with it drafting Aiden Hutchinson first overall. I mean, it's going to be Aiden's first NFL game, and he's going to be going up against some good people. That's a good offensive line in Philly. So I would just say that. I think offensively, Swift is probably ready to take the next step. They're good up front. That offensive line's a good unit. They've really done a nice job between the old regime and the new regime of drafting some good young guys. Ragnow and Jonah Jackson and Decker and Penne. I mean, that's a good unit. And then I think with St. Brown coming into his second year, what he did last year, I don't think you can downplay that. I think that what a phenomenal year for Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then just how quickly can DJ Chark and those guys get up to speed. So the ones certainly look good. I think anytime with a rebuilding football team, you worry about depth a little bit, but week 1, it's probably too early to worry about that. You
mentioned DJ Chark. We're talking to Jim Nagy here. Tell me what you've always thought of Chark, maybe even coming out of college and in Jacksonville, and what do you think his ceiling is here?
Yeah, when he was coming out of LSU, I didn't scout LSU that year, but I remember seeing him at the Senior Bowl, and he can just flat out run, which I think if you've been out to training camp practices, which I know you have. I mean, that's the first thing that sticks out. He's a bigger bodied guy that, sleekly built and can get down the field. So he'll give him that, and I think that, Reynolds is always kind of a slinky, slippery guy that can get open intermediate. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is a guy you just want to get the ball in his hands. I don't care what level. So I think Chark could be a good guy that could stretch it for you this year. And he's been a productive guy. It's just staying healthy. I think he had a 1,000-yard year there in Jacksonville, went to a Pro Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. So good football player. That's a good addition. And I think in his role, that's the one thing they're going to look for him to do is to be that deep threat for Jared Goff.
As somebody that has been in personnel rooms and has worked for NFL teams, how much do we overrate here how Brad Holmes kind of handled the backup quarterback job with Boyle and Blau, and then Blau leaves for the Vikings practice squad and Sudfeld's in? I mean, obviously we're looking for material. I'm doing content every day, but how overrated is that, or maybe is it not in your mind?
Well, hopefully it's not an issue.
Right,
right. For most teams, if you get to the backup, it's an issue. There's not too many teams in the league that feel really settled at their backup quarterback spot. And again, I haven't talked to Brad about this, and yeah, just from the outside looking in and trying to put myself in his shoes. I mean, they had 2 guys with Blau and Boyle that really seemed like good guys in that room, guys that cared about football, studied football, supported Jared Goff, were competitive, worked hard. So you want to give guys that have that kind of makeup, and if put everything into it. I know what David Blau's done for that organization, and he's been a good soldier for him. So you just want to give those guys every opportunity they can before you let them go. And I feel like they let that preseason play out. It was kind of an open competition, and I guess organizationally they felt like neither guy went out and really took a stranglehold of it. So now they're bringing in Nate Sudfeld. So I just think that's what it was. You got 2 guys that cared a lot, and the organization just wanted to give those guys every opportunity. That's kind of the way I see it.
How big of a fan are you of DeAndre Swift, and could he be a 1,000-yard runner, 800 yards receiving?
Yeah, DeAndre's a guy I didn't study a whole lot of, just because he was left Georgia as an underclassman, and so didn't look at him for the Senior Bowl that year. But and then they had the guys from last year, Zamir White and James Cook, and they've got a really good one this year, Kenny McIntosh, who went off against Oregon the other day. But I haven't watched a ton, to be quite honest. But he obviously has the tools. I think that Georgia, outside of Alabama, has been RBU over the last 5 to 10 years, going back to Sony and Chubb and those guys. So, but you love the change of direction. You love the short area burst, his ability to create. He does have enough power to run through stuff. And again, I think that one scene from Hard Knocks was pretty telling with Deuce Staley, because those guys know they're on camera. They know what's going to be put out there. And, Deuce wouldn't be saying those things to DeAndre Swift that he thinks he could be the best in the league if he didn't believe that. You wouldn't do that as a position coach. So I thought that was telling. And then I thought also the fact that he was putting it out there and really challenging DeAndre to be the best and that he can be the best. I think that's a little telling of maybe where, DeAndre's head was. Maybe, some players just don't realize how good they are. Some players, just don't see it. I think it needs to be presented to them that way. I remember when we drafted Richard Seymour in New England, I remember Scott Pioli, our GM at the time, telling us that he and Coach Belichick had to pull Richard aside and be like, Richard, you could be a Hall of Famer someday, but only you can determine that. Like, you have to believe that. And now here we are, fast forward all these years, and Richard went all this summer. So, I think I really did feel like that one little shot in Hard Knocks gave you a snippet of how they feel about DeAndre Swift's talent level, and then maybe how they feel about how he perceives himself and that he just needs to push and become the player he wants to be and can be.
More with Jim Nagy, Senior Bowl Executive Director. He's been out scouting already. We're going to get into some of that and also the defense coming up next. I want to tell you about our friends at BriteCo, though. You don't want to be that guy, and you certainly don't want it splattered all over the internet. The guys at BriteCo Jewelry Insurance will make sure you get a replacement for the full value of that ring. This is jewelry insurance, but it's brite.co/lockdown. Go to the website and see it. The fastest and easiest and cheapest way to cover your butt with the best jewelry insurance in the business. These guys at BriteCo are geniuses. They made buying insurance for your engagement ring, your watch, whatever, so easy. You can get it covered in like 2 minutes on your cell phone. Brite.co/lockdown. We all hate insurance, right? Well, these guys at BriteCo turn the whole experience around. It's fun. It's easy. No excuses. For $5 a month, you can get totally comprehensive coverage, and it won't take you more than 2 minutes on your phone. Got to see these videos on the website. They're awesome. BriteCo has a bunch of these hilarious videos that you can see for yourself at brite.co/lockdown. Jim Nagy with us, Executive Director of the Senior Bowl, longtime NFL Scout. Heard him on ESPN Radio for the draft and everything else. And he's the man. We always love talking to Jim, Michigander. And you mentioned Aiden Hutchinson before, Jim. How big of a ceiling for him this year? Could he be a double-digit sack guy? And what about this week with that RPO with Jalen Hurts? How tough is that going to be for his first NFL game?
Yeah, it's a tough assignment right off the bat with Jalen Hurts, a true dual threat. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that can run around, but very few of them scare you when they pull it down and do some of the RPO stuff. And I think they're doing a nice job of really tailoring that offense to Jalen's strength. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's one thing to beat the guy in front of you, but then trying to get to that guy and get him on the ground is a whole different thing. So double-digit sacks for a rookie is a pretty tall order. But the way Aiden plays the game, I think he's going to translate quickly. So it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. But again, not many guys have done it. But technically he's sound. He plays his tail off. Usually those things equate to a good rookie season. So if anyone's ready to do it, Aiden's ready to do it. That's tough for anyone.
How about Malcolm Rodriguez? He's all of a sudden the hero in town, and the video last night on Hard Knocks of Rod Wood saying, "Oh yeah, his number 44 jersey is being second most requested." Did you ever think a 6th-round pick that's a little bit undersized at a linebacker could be starting? But it sounds like that's going to be the case.
Well, if I thought that, I would have invited him to the Senior Bowl last year, Matt. and I didn't. So yeah, that's one I wish I had back. Malcolm's looked like he's looked great in camp. I mean, yeah, the hard part was scouting him. He's a 5'10" and change linebacker, and there's just when you're weighing the odds, I mean, there's just not many of those guys at that size playing in the NFL. But just from the Hard Knocks clips, he's a rugged dude. He's explosive. He loves contact. I mean, that one shot of him talking about how much he loves training camp because you get to go hit people. I mean, that kind of speaks to how Malcolm's wired. So no, it's been cool. I love admitting when I'm wrong. I love admitting when players prove me wrong. And if he goes out and has a really good career in Detroit, I'll be the first one to admit that. But yeah, he certainly looked like he's had a nice preseason.
How does that work in terms of invites? And do you have a team that maybe says, hey, we got to invite Rodriguez, or maybe you or someone else as well? He's 5'10" and has trouble in coverage. How does that work?
Yeah, so we do all our own work, Matt. We've tried to build a real personnel department here. We've got 9 former NFL scouts on staff this year with 160, 170 years of NFL experience, and we'll do our own work. I think last week 1, we were at 16 games. This week, I think we're going to be at 11 games all around the country. And, once we feel good about where we have the board, then the next step is reaching out to our friends in the NFL. So every year we, get on the horn with over half the league. It's usually like 17, 18 teams. And we get on with personnel directors and GMs and anyone that has access to all their grades. And we just go position by position. And, we just for example, last year, let's say if we're bringing 14 linebackers here, and we feel good about 10 of them, I'll run those 10 names by each team and get their okay. Like, do you like those 10? And usually we're in agreement. We're usually not far off with the guys we feel, really convicted on. And then it's that next group. Okay, for the next 4, here's the next 4 to 6 guys for us. And sometimes, teams will bring a name into the mix. Well, how about this guy? We got this guy rated up there. We got 2 5th-round grades and a 6th-round grade on this guy. What do you guys think of him? So we have some good conversations that way. And quite honestly, Malcolm's name didn't come up with those teams on those calls last year. So, I think where Detroit took him in the 6th round, that's probably where the teams had him. We try to stay 5th round and above with our roster. And yeah, it's great, man. He's outplayed. He's made me look bad. So, more power to him. Hope he has a great career.
I love how candid you are, and you always have been with us. Aaron Glenn overall with the defense, certainly 30th last year or 31st last year in scoring defense, but they're going to get better. They want to be coached. We saw his energy on Hard Knocks. The defense overall, how do you see it? And obviously a tough assignment this week.
Yeah, I think it's you just gotta hope the pass rush gets there. I think John Kaminsky's a guy that we had here at the Senior Bowl, kind of a under the radar free agent signing for him, and had a nice preseason. I think Levi Onwuzurike needs to stay healthy because he's a guy that can put pressure on the quarterback from the interior. So they got to hope he stays healthy. So some of those depth guys, they get a rotation going. But you look in the back end, and there's a lot of talent. Owarie made a really nice step forward last year with whatever he had, 6 or 7 picks. And then you look, Okuda's a 1st-round pick. Mike Hughes was a 1st-round pick. Will Harris, Tracy Walker, and Kirby Joseph were all 3rd-round picks. And we're talking, that's a lot of day 2 and, first day and second day talent in the back end. So, again, 2nd year in the same system. These guys know what they're doing right now. They're not thinking as much. They're just, letting it rip and playing football. So it'll be fun to see that group get out there. But I do think depth-wise, especially up front, you're going to need guys like Levi and Kaminsky and Buggs and those guys. They're going to have to contribute.
Final thing, Jim, I know you've been out scouting. You just said that. Anybody catch your eye that, Lions fans just want to talk about quarterback and, we're going to get Levis or Richardson or Stroud. It's like, hold on a second. Let's see if Jared Goff can have a better year this year. But anybody caught your eye so far in some of the games you've been at?
Yeah, Matt. I mean, we a lot of people caught our eyes. I was at the LSU Florida State game the other night, and
oh wow!
But really, the biggest guy that caught our eye, and it wasn't a game we were at live. It was more on the tape once we got into the office this week. Was Jacoby Windman at Michigan State?
Yeah,
right up the road from me. The guy had 4 sacks against Western. And the really cool, the cool thing about him is that, when we scouted him over the summer at UNLV, he's a transfer from UNLV, and he was mostly an off-the-ball linebacker. And, they let him rush a little bit in the last game of the year, and he had like 3 sacks in that game. So to come out, and he's playing on the line of scrimmage every down last week for the Spartans. And I texted Mel Tucker. I said, when did you guys make this move? Like we thought he was going to be playing a stack backer. And Mel said, I just made the move a couple weeks ago. We felt like he was the best pass rusher on the team. So we just wanted to leave him down there. And man, that's a kind of a life career altering decision Mel Tucker made for this guy, because we liked him as an off the ball linebacker. But if he can be the pass rusher that he showed on tape, and we posted a couple clips on our social media this week of this guy, I mean, there's not many guys. There's a dip and bend pass rush from that game, and there's not many guys in the NFL that can do what Jacoby Windman did the other night against Western Michigan. So really cool player. It's cool that he can. When I was in New England all those years, we had Teddy Bruschi played off the ball linebacker on first and second down base downs, and then on third down we'd let Teddy. Put him on the end of the line and let him rush, because I think Teddy ended his career at Arizona as the all-time leading sack guy in college football. So you just play to a guy's strengths. So Windman is a guy, like, he's going to fit any scheme next year when he's coming out in the draft. Because he can play off the ball and then he can rush. So that is definitely a guy that caught our attention week one.
Love it. And Spartan fans that are listening are going to love that you mentioned him, Jim. Always a pleasure catching up with you, my friend, and all the best.
Yeah, Matt. Thanks for having me on, and go Lions.
No doubt about it. Jim Nagy with us, Senior Bowl Scout and friend of the program, joining us here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions.